Hey, Wembong World Entertainment, and welcome to the review for Captain America Brave New World, a movie that has gone through so much, and by God, does it show on screen, because the movie, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Now, the stories that they were trying to tell were probably never going to work anyway, but what they ended up with on screen, they should just not have released this movie. And let's get a few things clear. This is 100% an Incredible Hulk sequel without the Hulk. That is what this movie is. It's not a Captain America movie. It's a Hulk movie, because all the motivations and stuff in this from your so-called villain and whatnot, it's all stemming from the Incredible Hulk. And the other thing to keep in mind is there is a lot from the trailer and other stuff that's missing from this. So clearly all the reworks they've done have just Frankensteined this movie, and it's incoherent, it's boring, it's sluggish, it's slow. It doesn't seem to know what it wants to be itself, what it's trying to tell you, and it's just a waste of your time. So, what is the actual plot to this movie? Well, from what I can gather, because it's all over the place, but from what I can gather, it's about a treaty trying to be signed. The main kind of plot seems to be a treaty that's trying to be signed between the United States, France, India, and Japan over the Celestial. That's right, they actually talk about and show and go to the Celestial in this movie. However, the trade agreement is to use the Celestial, which they call Celestial Island, for the resources of adamantium. They discover adamantium on it. However, that only seems to be one of the plot lines, because they seem to forget about that plot line for a while and goes into other plot lines. But that seems to be the main one. And what's happening with the villain, who it's the leader, everybody knows it's the leader. I don't know, I've seen a few reviews where they're trying to hide that fact. I don't know why. His ambition is to punish Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, because as he was running for president, he was dying apparently, and he went to him and he gives him these pills that helped him, and he told him, you know, I'll get you out of prison once I'm elected, and didn't. He ignored him. So the leader is able to mind control people. How? It's not explained. It's never actually explained. And he seems to be able to do it at random with just like really anyone, except the people who it would count to do it with, which is weird. Now, as you know, the Serpent Society has been removed. They are very briefly at the beginning. The Giancarlo Esposito, as you know, was added to the movie during reshoots. And what a waste, because he is in the movie for a total of about 5 minutes. That's no exaggeration. There's only one scene with him you haven't seen in the trailer. That's it. He's in it for 5 minutes. As is the leader. The actual main villain is barely in the movie as well. So think about it. If the movie is almost 2 hours, remember, this thing was meant to be close to 3 hours. Then they reshot it and it was down to 2.5 hours, and they've cut out over 40 minutes of this movie. That tells you everything you need to know. The fact that the movie was meant to be that long, and the leader himself is in the movie for about 7 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. He is barely in it. And yes, the rumors of the Red Hulk is 100% true. He's in it for 5 minutes. All the actual villains seem to be 5 minutes in and out. It's like, wow. As for the characters themselves, Captain America, Sam Wilson, is not particularly... He's not Captain America. Like, let's get that straight right now. He's not Captain America. But he's not even really Captain America in the movie, because of all the tech he has, he's still Falcon. He uses his wings almost more than the shield. But every character around him has to constantly reaffirm that you're Captain America and you're better than Steve Rogers because you don't have the super serum. which they do somewhat touch on about the super serum, that they asked him, why didn't you take it? And he kind of like, it's not for me. But then we see him later on questioning and regretting not taking the super serum. But he's constantly getting his ass kicked. Now, when it comes to the suits, as we know, because he's fighting Red Hulk, and people were like, well, hang on, how could he possibly withstand a punch from Red Hulk? And they, of course, reworked it in to say, oh, the suits are actually Wakandan technology. That seems to be how they're trying to get around some things, but there seems to be moments where they forget that as well. Now, when it comes to the suits, he's only in the Captain America suits 2, possibly 3 times in the entire movie. Again, no exaggeration. He's in the white one at the very beginning of the movie, and then he gets that blue one pretty much at the beginning of the 3rd act. So you have practically an entire Captain America movie where he's in the suit twice, possibly 3 times. I think he puts on the bluey grey one and takes it off and puts it on again. But it's all in the 3rd act for that. The issue you have with the actual suits, again, is he comes down in the white one at the beginning, and you see the suit do that, the purple kind of shine that Black Panther suit does when it gets hit. And he releases the energy like the Black Panther suit. And a guy in the trailer that's watching this goes, hey, how did he do that? And New Falcon, whatever his name is, I can't remember, says, oh, and this is how they get around the whole thing of where these suits come from. It's a throwaway line. He goes, oh, the Wakandans made and gifted Cap new suits. That's your explanation. That's all. You don't see it. You don't hear what kind of technology it is. It's just, oh, it was a gift from the Wakandans. Except, right after that moment, another guy comes up and slashes the suit. And Cap, Sam Wilson, has a gigantic gash from below his chest all the way up through the star up to his shoulder. And it's like, wow, Wakandan technology sucks if it can rip like that. That's it for that suit. The other suit, when he fights Red Hulk at the end of the movie, because yes, it's the end of the movie, false advertisement on Disney's part for every part of Red Hulk, by the way, you've seen in the trailer. Everything. There's no parts in there that you haven't seen. All of his scenes are in the trailers. But he's fighting Cap. He punches him. His first punch to him. Now again, this is where they kind of forget things. Sam activates his helmet thing, gets knocked across the road, takes the helmet off. You see the suit turning that purple haze thing, but it's vibrating because it couldn't withstand the force from the Red Hulk. And even he's suffering in it, the suit and stuff. He's like, oh my god, like, he still shouldn't be able to withstand it. The Hulk should still destroy him. You know, even Cap can't really take on the Hulk. And this is a Red Hulk. But the Hulk gets him, rips one of the wings off, gets the shield, throws the shield into the ground, which you see on the thing. But he stabs the Hulk with the other wing and releases the energy. And he goes flying. The two of them go flying. But Cap goes into the ground, basically. Like, causes a trench. But never put his helmet up. And there's rocks and everything on his head. It's like, and he survived that. Okay, makes no sense. The leader's motivations is just revenge. And again, he's barely in it. His look is ridiculous. His big reveal, he sits in a chair and turns the light on. I think you're supposed to get it like, oh my god, he's grotesque. It's hilarious. You end up laughing going, oh my god, that looks horrendous. The worst character by hands down is Sabre. Now, they've changed a lot about her. She's still Israeli. She is working for the US Defense or something. But the actress, I have no idea what the actress's name is. She's terrible. Like, she's actually terrible. And here's the kicker with her. She's about 4 foot. She is a midget. And I'm not exaggerating. She's literally a midget. The first time you see her standing beside people, all I could think of was, I can't remember the actress's name. It's something Linda something. The woman from NCIS Los Angeles and Kindergarten Cop. She was the principal in the Kindergarten Cop. Remember, she's tiny. That's all I could think of. Because she's the same. She's tiny. She's a midget. And you're like, really? This is what is going on? The character of Isaiah is fine. Why does he try and shoot the president and stuff? Well, it's the leader's mind control. How does the mind control get activated? Music. It's not having to tell them codes or something. It's music. Yeah. Is Steve Rogers in the movie? Because we all saw that scene where Sam was talking to someone in a hospital and you couldn't see who it was because of a pillar. And then there was a funeral. It's like, did they just kill off real Cap? No. Steve Rogers is not in the movie. He's mentioned quite a lot, but he's not in the movie. Which brings us to those scenes. What has been cut? Well, if you remember, in the trailer you have Theodore Ross, President Ross, saying to Sam Wilson, "You're not Steve Rogers," and Sam responds, "You're right, I'm not." They've cut out his response. They have in the moment of "You're not Steve Rogers," but they've cut out the "You're right, I'm not." That's no longer in there. Him talking to someone behind a pillar in the hospital, no longer in there. The funeral scene that's clearly in the trailer, no funeral in this movie, not in there at all. And there's a few other things that are in the trailer that isn't in this movie. There is a cameo. It's a cameo you can see coming a mile away. Do you want it spoiled or not? Who do you think it is? You're probably correct, because there's photos of it. Of course I'll spoil it, because it's not a spoiler. He's in there for 3 seconds just to tell Sam Wilson, "No, you're Cap and you're better than Steve Rogers, and this is why." It's Bucky. Bucky is in there. He shows up, and all for like literally 3 seconds. It's like, "Oh, hi, I missed you, buddy. Yeah, you're better than Steve." Overall, the special effects, terrible, absolutely horrendous. I mean, it's some of the worst, literally the worst. There's even parts where they're just standing there talking, and it's like, wow, you green screen them standing talking. Like, oh, wow. Overall, the movie is an incoherent disaster. Does it set up future movies? No. Now, Thunderbolt Ross does want Sam to reform the Avengers. No explanation as to which Avengers and who they want, but Sam also doesn't want to do that because he would have to answer to Ross. The post-credits scene that leaked, of course, if you saw my video yesterday, you'd have seen that. That sets up nothing because there's no real information there. It's just, oh, there's more than one world and it's coming. That's it. That's the scene there, and it's like, okay, there was nothing in the movie to set up that payoff. It sets up nothing. It really doesn't. It does seem to be kind of its own thing while trying to say it's moving the story forward, and it really isn't. So it's an absolute disaster. And New Falcon, by the way, he's the comedy relief of the movie. You might have seen a few reviews saying, "Oh, the humor is gone." No, it isn't. And it all comes through him, and he just gets really, really annoying. And they also, by the way, I forgot to say, Isaiah, it turns out he was another Captain America. So they made him a Captain America. He was the first black Captain America, and he fought in Vietnam. And it's like, oh, so anyone can be Captain America now, apparently. So why did Nick Fury need to wait to get Steve Rogers for the Avengers if they were just making other Captain Americas? Work that one out. Either way, the movie is an unmitigated disaster, and Disney probably should have just scrapped it. As soon as they were like, we need to reshoot this entire movie because this thing is a disaster, right there and then they should have said, okay, we're pulling the plug on this. But they didn't. They filmed it for a second time and then kept doing reshoots, and my god, does it show. It's a disaster. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.